another episode of Throwing It Back with Sean Farrell. I am Sean Farrell. God is great all the time. All the time, God is great. Jesus Christ died and he rose again. Let's go ahead and get into it. So, so it just seems like Michael Jordan can do no wrong. Okay, what do I mean when I say that? Because he's still out here winning championships in NASCAR. Okay, still out here winning championships in NASCAR, and so when it was reported that the country of Jordan had intercepted I believe it was Iranian missiles. Okay. I saw something over on social media where they had Michael Jordan intercepting a missile. They had Michael Jordan intercepting an Iranian missile. Okay, and the caption read, "LeBron wouldn't ever." So the fact that the country of Jordan intercepted Iranian missiles, okay, Michael Jordan somehow got photoshopped intercepting a Iranian missile, okay, and the headline read, "LeBron couldn't ever," okay, so yeah, yeah, so that's where we're gonna start. Michael Jordan, okay. Hold on. Make some room. All right. So that's where we go. I'm gonna start. Michael Jordan. So the 1992 NBA Finals. The series was tied 2-2 between Portland and Chicago. Okay. And Jordan came out and the Bulls came out on fire in Game 5. Pippen was active, Grant was active. Jordan would go on to score 46 points. Okay, as the Bulls took the series lead 3-2 back to Chicago on their way to winning the second straight championship. Okay, by winning Game 6. So Jordan is having a pretty good game. Okay. And in game 5, but the Bulls really got a scare. Okay, the Bulls really got a scare, and this isn't the only time that this had happened to Jordan, but the Bulls really got a scare.
Portland's fans could only watch in despair as the Bulls dismantled the Blazers.
Fadeaway jumper, he scored. Oh, Michael turned an ankle.
But Chicago would face some anguish of their own.
The franchise is sitting down on the bench holding his left ankle. Bill Jackson better talk about this.
Get yourself under control, both of you. We need you.
And Chicago going through a little bit of a gut check right now.
But even with their leader sidelined, the Bulls refused to falter. In this game, Chicago would not give Portland any second chances. Portland was helpless before Chicago's onslaught, and it only got worse.
Here comes Jordan back in, still favoring that ankle, but he's going to play some more. Here's it out back to Jordan. Michael fires a three. He was open. He buries it. A dagger. A dagger.
With Jordan providing the finish.
Yeah. So that was a little bit of a scare that had the Bulls had in Game 5, and but Jordan came back in. As you saw, he hit a three, and the rest is history. Okay, now let's fast forward to 1993. Okay. Hold on. Okay. Okay. So let's fast forward to 1993. Okay. They're playing the Hawks in the first round, game 3. And Jordan is having a superb game as always. And the Bulls once again got a scare. Okay, the Bulls once again got a scare. Okay.
Here is Blaylock on Jordan. Goes for the three.
Help out Mookie Blaylock. 3 seconds. Michael Jordan's turnaround. Yes, and the foul.
Michael wants it dumped in. Now the double teamer had to come from the other side of the lane.
Wilkins on Armstrong. Jordan down low on Mookie Blaylock in the game at all on Sunday, and he's an early substitution here.
Nice. That guy's coming from the other side of the lane. Michael could take all day and find it.
Jordan against Blaylock. There's the double team. Got there late. Graham on Michael Jordan. They isolate the side. Let's pull up baseline jumper. Atlanta only 5 of 10 from the line. Jordan blows by Augment. Quarter from the Omni in Atlanta. This is game 3 of the first round series. Jordan 3 against 2.
Playing that well, and if they were playing a superior foe, they'd be in a little bit of trouble here this season.
In this series. Michael Jordan off the screen. He's not going to miss that. Jordan falls down and looks to be hurt. He slipped on this. He slipped on this wet floor right in front of our bench. We told you that there is ice underneath here. Michael Jordan simply turned around and I've seen Michael Jordan helped off the floor so many times, only to see him return the same game. Jordan coming up. He went in. They had to carry him off the floor. He's retaped.
Hawks are doing a real good job on that staggered screen on the opposite side of the floor. Taking the 20-foot jump shots.
Easy pass from
Pass the ball and cut. And that's all this is. Give and go. You're relying on the defense to make your foul shots.
Bulls wide open. Inside to Jordan. Isolated against the wall.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was 2 major scares the Bulls avoided. Okay. And I can tell you something about the way I really miss Huey Brown. Okay. I really miss Huey Brown calling games. But both times he came back, okay. And I know Portland was holding their breath, okay. And I kid you not, when he twisted his ankle in Atlanta, okay, not only were the Bulls concerned, not only were the Bulls holding their breath, but the Knicks were holding their breath, the Cavaliers were holding their breath, the Phoenix Suns, the best team in the West, were probably holding their breath, okay, and the Atlanta Hawks fans, they were worried for Michael Jordan too, okay? Yeah. The Atlanta Hawks fans, they were worried for Michael Jordan too. Because I know they didn't show the full video of Michael Jordan walking back out, okay? But I think the Hawks fans stood up and gave Michael Jordan a standing ovation when he came back out. Yeah. So the Bulls the Bulls pretty much avoided 2 major scares there. Okay. Let's take it back to the 1950s now. Okay. George Mikan was so dominant. Okay. That that Hall of Famer pitcher Paul Arizin once said, anytime you knew there was a crucial shot in the game, you knew George was going to take it because nobody else was allowed to take it. Okay, George Mikan being the first true dominant big man of the NBA. Okay, George Mikan was just so dominant. Okay, led the Lakers to 5 titles. the NBA's truly first great dynasty, the Minneapolis Lakers. Okay. Um, so George Mikan was so dominant that in 1952, the NBA actually doubled the width of the lane from 6 to 12 feet. Okay. Yeah. George Mikan was so dominant that the NBA doubled the width of the lane from 6 to 12 feet. Okay. In an attempt to counter George Mikan's dominance. Okay. Not only did they NBA attempt to counter George Mikan's dominance, the NBA tried something else. Hold on. Okay, hold up. Come on. Nope. Okay. There it goes right there. Yeah, so in 1952, the NBA doubled the width of the lane from 6 to 12 feet, okay? But that's not all that the NBA did, okay? NBA players, in an attempt to counter George Mikan's dominance, they began to stall, okay? They began to stall, okay? In other words, they would just play catch all day, right? And that led to the lowest scoring NBA game in NBA history, okay? Hold on. I got it right here. Got it right here. Lowest scoring game in NBA history were the Detroit Pistons. Listen to this, y'all. The lowest scoring game in NBA history was won by the Detroit Pistons, who at that time were the Fort Wayne Pistons, okay? Detroit won the lowest scoring game in NBA history, 19-18. And in case you didn't hear me, Detroit won the lowest scoring game in NBA history at the time, Fort Wayne Pistons, 19-18. I kid you not. I kid you not. Listen to this. The Pistons led 8-7 after the first quarter, but trailed 13-11 at halftime. With 6 seconds left, the Pistons had a rookie named Larry Faust who scored the game-winning basket. Okay. George Mikan had 15 of the 18 Lakers points. He had all 4 of their field goals. Jim Pollard hit a free throw. Okay. And the Lakers had a guy named Harrison. He hit 2 free throws too. Okay. And so that's what the NBA tried to do to counter George Mikan's dominance. Okay. Then the invention of the 24-second shot clock came along, and then that pretty much ended playing catch all day in an attempt to counter George Mikan's dominance. Okay, so George Mikan retires. Then a few years later, along comes Wilt Chamberlain. Okay, along comes Wilt Chamberlain, and the big man is still dominating the NBA. So in 1965, the NBA doubled the width of the lane again from 12 to 18 feet. No, from 12 to 16 feet. Okay, yeah. The NBA again doubled the width of the lane from 12 to 16 feet. Okay, but big man still found ways to dominate. Big man still found ways to dominate.
He was a difficult man to move, to budge once he got his spot. To play behind him was death. I mean, you couldn't stop him.
Anytime there was a crucial shot, you knew George was going to take it because nobody else was allowed to take it. He would just keep saying, "Get it into me." and they would get it into him.
In 1952, Mikan's dominance prompted the NBA to double the width of the lane from 6 to 12 feet.
What happened by moving me away from the key, making it wider, we were able to use more cuts and picks and getting a little bit more team play.
But Mikan and the Lakers were able to adjust and continue to thrive.
Sports teams of all time.
Now I want to go over the mistakes we've been making the past few games and iron out some of these mistakes. So let's pay attention closely and go to work. You all set? Ready.
Mikan goes straight to his target. With less than 30 seconds left, that nails it down. The Lakers go on to win.
With Mikan still dominating the paint, the Lakers would end up winning 5 titles in 6 years. But Mikan's effect was measured in more than titles. With the wider lane, players began to make their presence felt from beyond the paint. Sharpshooters like Pitchin' Paul Arizin and Neil Johnston emerged as stars.
This former Ohio State University ace has one of the widest and deadliest hooks of anyone in the game.
Wilt Chamberlain's entrance into the league in 1959 brought offensive dominance back to the paint.
I think it will be a period of orientation for me, of course, like it is for every newcomer in the NBA, but I think in the long run I'll be able to handle myself man-to-man with almost anyone in the league.
The lanky 7-foot star, appropriately nicknamed the Stilt, is
Wilt used his overwhelming strength and quickness to rewrite the league's scoring records and forced it to change once again.
The 15th annual NBA All-Star Game in St. Louis.
By early 1965, the NBA widened the lane from 12 to 16 feet in another attempt to counter the dominance of a great center.
That's Chamberlain, and he's dunking one.
Yeah. So those are some of the rule changes made in the early days of the NBA in an attempt to counter the dominance of the big man, but I don't think it worked her too well. First you had George Mikan, then you had Wilt, then you had Russell, then along came Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, okay, then Nathan Herman, Wes Unseld, okay, then along came a new crop of guys, the Parishes, the Ewings, the O'Neills, the David Robinsons, the Alonzo Mournings, the Shaqs, okay? And so, and it was widely believed that you had, that to win the NBA title, you had to have a big man, a legit big man to win a NBA title. It was widely believed around the league. How could I forget, not to mention Hakeem Olajuwon, okay? My fault, y'all. That's my fault, okay? How could I forget not to mention Hakeem Olajuwon, okay? Yeah, so that's just how dominant the big man was in the early days on up until the new part of the new millennium, okay? Okay. All right. That's it, and that's all for the On the Back with Sean Farrell.